That is the latest single from Niall Horan called The Show.
Niall just released his new album of the same name, and he joins us in the studio.
And Niall joins us now. Niall, it is nice to have you back with us here in the morning show.
Oh, it's good to be back. You told me it was 6 years?
6 years, I believe, since you've been here in studio with us. 3 years since we've had new music from you. How does it feel to finally be releasing some new music?
Oh, it's great. It's good to be back. I've missed it. Obviously, the pandemic slowed a few things down, but post that, made a record, and yeah, it's just good to be back doing things. Back doing shows, back doing gigs, back doing promotion, like all the bits and pieces that my job entails, I've missed.
Well, right before the pandemic hit, you had an album, Heartbreak Weather, just released it. Then the pandemic hits, the world basically shuts down. You can't tour it. Talk about a heartbreak in and of itself, not being able to show that, like really show it. How hard was that after you put all that work into it?
Oh yes, well, having spent like a year and a bit making a record, and then you finally finish it, set up the plan, and then announce a tour. Tickets were on sale and everything. And then I remember I was in the States, and I was just about to go back for the final rehearsal, start the tour, and then they were like, "You've got 24 hours to leave or stay." And I flew back to London, and that was the end of that as I knew it. And but it'll work out in the end. I'll be able to get out on the road at some point and do the two albums together. No?
Exactly. We're going to get twice the bang for our buck here on
Correct.
this tour, without a doubt. Let's talk about the new album called The Show, because I know you said just recently, really, you now know why you named it that. Why is that? Yeah,
The Show was a title that was kind of hanging around for a while, and I didn't really know what that meant. I just kind of write down gibberish a lot of the time, and then I realised during the pandemic that it's kind of a bit of a metaphor for life, and I wrote the title track at home during the lockdown when we were fully locked away, and realised that the whole thing was kind of like a bit of a metaphor for life, and you know, the world at the time, what was going on, and also bigger picture thinking, kind of big thoughts instead of very like how I would usually write, which is very isolated scenarios and write about that particular moment, whereas this album seems to be a bit more, as I said, big thinking, and that's where The Show came from, really.
Well, let's talk, while we're talking titles, let's talk Meltdown, another new single. To hear it, super upbeat, super catchy, but don't be fooled by the upbeat tempo, because as the title suggests, a lot going on.
Yeah, there is a lot going on. It's a song that I like. I tend to write songs about that kind of thing. I have done previously, but like that feeling of freaking out, basically, and feeling a bit like anxious and looking on other people going through a similar thing and how they're dealing with it. And I feel like it's very easy to, when someone's freaking out, just say calm down. It's very easy from the outside to do that. But when you're in that moment yourself, it's very hard to see past, you know, the end of your nose, for want of a better phrase. And I wanted to write a song like that, but I wanted to do it in a fast tempo, because previously I've written them as ballads, and I feel like it doesn't reflect the pace of your head and your heart while you're going through that kind of thing. Also, as you said, it's hidden behind a very fast, upbeat track that people can dance along to. So you can have it whatever way you want it, really.
Right.
You can really listen closely to the lyric, or you can just dance along and don't listen to the lyric at all.
Okay, well, listen, you're a very busy guy these days, because not only have you got the new album, but you're also a judge on The Voice, and a bit of a full circle moment, because as we all know, you started on The X Factor. Does that factor into at all your previous experience on The X Factor, into your judging on The Voice?
Yeah, for sure. More so than I thought, actually. There's a level of like empathy that I've got now, and I realised when I sat down the first time in the big red chair that I have with the artists. They've got like 16, 17-year-olds coming on to the show. You know, the lights, the cameras, the big ratings. You know, it can be scary to stand up and give the best version of yourself in a couple of minutes. And having been there, I know exactly how it feels like. It has been 13 years, but it feels like it was also yesterday every time I look at some of these artists, and having having that closeness with them because I've been through it makes so much of a difference. And it's been such a fun experience. What I will say is I got very lucky with the coaches that I did my first season with, and Blake and Kelly and Chance. It's just been a real laugh on and off camera. Like I would have been more nervous about trying to forge some sort of relationship, just for the cameras, but I did get lucky.
It's been 7 years since we had One Direction. I know you guys are all still tight and in touch, but we hear from your fans. How do you guys continue to support each other? You're all having great solo careers now, but how do you guys still support each other in these projects?
Well, just like we normally would, just kind of, we've got a strong bond, obviously, consider, because of what we've been through together, and that'll never change. That's something that's there forever. And we just kind of always keeping in touch basically, and being there at the end of the phone if anyone needs anything is basically as what we can do for each other, I suppose. And send the odd song here and there to each other before release, and nice to get that opinion back, from a peer and someone that's releasing music on a regular basis. That's always nice too. Yeah, that bond is just there. And it's just, yeah,
it'll never go away. Never go away.
No, I don't think so.
All right, before we let you go, we do have to ask you about one thing, Niall, because admittedly, we have been having a little fun here on the show ever since you let us all in on your skincare routine, which is, do I have this right, 22 steps?
Is it?
Yeah? You tell me.
It is, if I take my time at it.
Okay.
On a day-to-day basis, it's no.
This is what I'm wondering. How do you ever leave the house?
I don't. If I have time, I won't leave the house at all. I got into it a few years ago. It became like, part of the routine. It's never 22 steps. It maybe once in a blue moon it is. But I just got mad into it. I don't know why. And now I'm glowing. I'm not. I'm sweating. This is not a goal.
So it just got carried away a little bit. Like, if you thought about knocking it down to say a dozen, 15 steps.
Not even threw the number at me. I might have to knock a few off the top. Yeah.
Oh, well, Niall, such a pleasure. Let's not, how many years, 6?
It was too long.
Too long.
I was convinced it was a lot shorter, but you're telling me that from the archives it was 6. Okay, but I promise it won't be 6, unless we have another pandemic, which I hope we don't.
I know. Thank you so much for coming in.
Thanks very much.
And Niall's brand new album, The Show, is out now.